Welcome back, my Duelist friends. Casual Duelist here, and if you're new to the channel, maybe you haven't seen this yet, and if you're a veteran, you probably have. From time to time, I will be asked, hey, can you do something with this card? We see that your name is Casual, we love seeing casual decks, and we love seeing these little niche items just jump off the page. And so I was going through the messages that you guys leave me in the comment section because I was thinking I was having a fever dream. Somebody actually challenged me or asked me to build something with Exodia Necross. Not sure why there was a clear sleeve over the top of that. So Christopher Lebetsky, you asked for Exodia Necross. Let's get you an Exodia Necross build. Now, this isn't budget because I had to pull some strings in order to get some stuff, and it took a few extra days. I actually wanted to have this out yesterday. I wanted this to be a Wednesday video, and instead it's a Thursday. But hey, I think it's worth the wait. So, real quick, let's get into the listing. I'm just going to use 2 copies Necross, one each of every Exodia piece, as we need those to play it. And then I'm going to be playing a Gravekeeper on the assist. So 3 Assailants, 2 Commandants, 3 Descendants. It should be 3 Headmen. These I was unable to secure, and I definitely wanted to get this video out. So for the purpose of just having a deck to have together, we chose Spies. Now, Spies are a little slower, but they still populate the field with 2 characters, while Headman does this a little more rapidly. But honestly, 3 Headmen is the play here. And, of course, 3 Recruiters to make the Gravekeeper portion of the deck work. Over to the spells, we're going to need 2 copies of Lure of Darkness, 2 copies Contract with Exodia, 2 copies of Future Fusion, because that's a technique, 3 copies Necro Valley, 2 copies Pot of Prosperity, and yeah, I guess you guys can see why this isn't budget anymore, 3 copies Royal Tribute, and this actually helps you stay a little more relevant. Now, if you have 3 pots of Prosperity, you do not need the Upstart Goblin. I do not have a 3rd yet, so I need the Upstart Goblin. So again, that would be my 3rd pot of Prosperity. Now, if you don't have pots of Prosperity, again, you guys could play pots of Duality. It's still an excavation. And of course, we need the single terraforming. And I never seem to go anywhere without 3 Solemn Strikes. And that's going to be your 40-card main deck. Now, real quick, we do need to have a fusion target. Now, Exodia Necross, back in the day, before everything got super excited and everything was all, how fast can you loop? We used to have access to Painful Choice. And of course, Future Fusion used to activate differently back then as well. We used to send our cards immediately and then wait 2 standby phases to fuse. Now you play it, the next turn you designate and send, and then the second standby phase after that, you generate your fusion monster. So in order to get the Exodia pieces out, we're going to be playing not 1 but 2 copies of Quintet Magician for the 5 spellcasters. Now, this actually satisfies a challenge from a teammate. He just wanted to see me play this, and I think this is the best way for me to play it at the moment. But I do plan on building a deck entirely around the Quintet Magician in the future, too. So you're going to need 2 copies of him. And then my links, again, these are going to be, obviously there's 13 of them. They're going to be a little more spread out, a little more situational. And this is so that you can use the Pot of Prosperity to its best effect. So we're going to have the 1 Apollosa, the 1 Barricade Board Blocker, the Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, Borlode Sword Dragon, Boral Sword Dragon, IP Masquerena, the obligatory Nightmare Package Cerberus, Phoenix, and of course Unicorn. Since we are using those 1-starred Exodia limbs, Link Kuribo, Relinquished Anima, and Salamangrate Almirage all make additional great tag-ins. And just for another big power boss, we decided to throw in the 1 copy Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. So, Christopher, I do hope that this is good. Anybody who is just stopping by for the list, however, thank you for watching. Class is dismissed. If you enjoyed this, consider hitting the subscribe button. Please let your friends know about the channel. That's actually been blowing us up pretty good. Pretty rapid growth. And maybe go check out some other videos while you're here on YouTube right now. So obviously you can watch some more of mine, or there are plenty of other talented people who do plenty of other things. YouTube is quite vast. You guys have a great day. Now, everybody else, let's talk over the strategy. Let's go over some card effects, because some of these cards we haven't seen since, I don't think I've seen Exodia Necross really since I think it was Dark Crisis when it was introduced to the game. So let's go. So first and foremost, we've got Necross. He was half of the point of the deck. So we needed to be able to play him consistently. So I went with a 2-2-2 between him, the Contract, and the Allure. The Allure is because everything in here is still dark, and this will allow me to draw into the remaining pieces I need. Being able to get into the Future Fusion and just whip 5 pieces of Exodia into the discard pile, or let's say I have one in my hand, I could summon that one, link it away, and still be able to send, 4 Exodia pieces plus, guess what, Gravekeepers are all spellcasters, so Quintet Magician is going to win there too. Or you can send the additional copy of Exodia Necross out of your deck so that you don't dead draw into it, which, again, very helpful sometimes. Now, what he's going to do for you, he is a 4-star, cannot be normal summoned or sent, must be special summoned by using the spell card, Contract with Exodia, and cannot be special summoned by any other way. Cannot be destroyed by battle or spell trap effects, which is great. Once per turn during the standby phase, this card gains 500 attack. Now, this is a permanent boost. Every turn, Exodia Necross is just going to get bigger and bigger. And for something to be playing on a casual tabletop, he is a fantastic example of a cool strategy to be played. The rest of the effect. Destroy this card unless all 5 of these cards are in the graveyard, and it's going to list off the rest of the Exodia pieces. Now, again, we chose to pair with the Gravekeepers because we wanted the protection of Necro Valley. Necro Valley stops our opponent from banishing cards in the graveyards, and again, they can't really target into our discard pile. So again, whereas you could Monster Reborn one of my Exodia pieces and watch this guy fall apart, not with Valley you can't. So we ran 2. And again, there are the 5 pieces of Exodia. No real explanation needed here. The head's effect is, of course, if you have this and the other 4 all in your hand at the same time, you win the duel. Fantastic strategy. These cards have been around since the beginning of the game. I do have a set of the original LOBs. I did not take them out of my personal binder just to do the video today. So I think these are all from the Yugi Legendary deck. And at which point there was an Exodia deck, so that was pretty cool. Then the Gravekeeper portion of the engine, of course, I love Assailant. With Valley, this thing's going to get up an extra 5/5, as they all will. And, of course, if Valley is on the field when this declares an attack, I can switch the battle position of a face-up monster my opponent controls. So this allows us to try to carve through some monsters. Not as effective against Lynx, of course, because they can't actually change their battle position because they only have attack mode. But this is going to be another 2K striker, so that's fine. Commandant at 2 because we do have the terraforming in here. And again, he's a little bit off-typed, his attribute being Earth, and I'm not sure if that was a typo that never got corrected, or if that was a subtle nod to him being the one who gathers the field spell, Earth is land, and maybe that's some sort of reference there. His effect is entirely discard this card to the graveyard in order to add 1 Necro Valley from the deck to the hand. So he is terraforming for Necro Valley specifically. So between playing 2 copies of him and 1 terraforming, we have 3 good searchers, and we're going to maximize at 3 copies for our field spell anyway. So very good there. And again, base stat will be 21 with Necro Valley on the field. Then you have the Triple Descendant. That one has seen some better days. Tribute a face-up Gravekeeper's monster that you control except this card. Destroy 1 card the opponent controls. Again, this is for control, obviously, and of course this pairs off quite well with Recruiter. Another one, again, I wanted to play 3 Headmans. I only had the single. If this card is summoned, you can target one level 4 Gravekeeper's monster in the graveyard and choose to summon it in either face-up attack or face-down defense. This is a once per turn effect, and it is unaffected by Necro Valley. So, again, we don't need Chief anymore like the Gravekeepers originally did. And, of course, Spy makes a great substitute just because the effect is along the same lines. And again, this would allow you flip Special Summon a Gravekeeper with 1,500 or less attack from the deck to the field, and you would again get to choose attack or defense position face up. And again, this allows me to get more bodies to the field, and it lets me touch into the extra deck a little more. And then last but not least, you have the Recruiter. If this is a card that you control sent to the graveyard, you can add one Gravekeeper's monster, 1,500 or less defense from deck to hand. And again, this would be anything but using it as Xyz material. So again, we could, in fact, go into a link off of this. We could play Headman and this, or Headman to get this back, and then link into, I don't know, IP Masquerena if we needed, Nightmare Phoenix maybe, just whatever you like. Actually, I like Barricade Board Blocker because it'll protect my continuous Future Fusion to try to let that hit fruition, as well as protecting my field spell, which in effect is really protecting Exodia Necross. And again, we still go ahead and get to touch the deck and get that extra card to our hand too, so full of advantage. The Allure of Darkness, I'm only running it at 2. Again, I don't want to banish too many of my cards. Again, this is another great way. If you ended up having your extra copy of Necross already in your hand, you could absolutely allure one and just benefit, which would be good. And the reason for all the draw cards is we really we want to see the parts of the strategy that have to show up in order for Exodia Necross to come about. Again, there's a lot to him, and because of that, it makes him a lot harder to play. So there's that. We do have the double contract, and all this says is if you have all 5 of the Exodia limbs and head in the graveyard, you can special summon Necross, but it has to be from the hand. So again, we can't get rid of both copies. The Future Fusion, like I said, I'm not sure this might be the original text because this is from a while ago. Reveal a fusion monster in the extra deck and send from the main deck. Yeah. So this is the old text. The new text is you play it, you might reveal it, and then on the second standby or the first standby phase after activation, then you send the materials, and then the standby phase after that, this will then go to the discard pile, and then of course you'll fusion summon. And again, that would be our Quintet Magician. So pretty cool. We do have the Necro Valleys, and again, these are they're not the original, but they're pretty close. As long as this card remains on the field, negate the effects of all spell, trap, and monster effects that affected cards in the graveyard, and neither player can remove cards in the graveyards from play as long as this remains on the field. Gravekeeper monsters add 500 attack and defense. So again, that's just going to help us lock down our parts. Again, the very not-budget Pot of Prosperity. Banish 3 or 6 cards of your choice from the extra deck, and this is why I think this is going to be way better than Pot of Extravagance. And it just comes down to random versus choice. So we get to, again, it's 3 or 6, banish them face down. For the rest of the turn after this resolves, any damage the opponent takes is halved, which is fine. Excavate cards from the top of the deck equal to the number of cards banished, which is fine. Add 1 card from that to your hand. Rest to the bottom of the deck in any order. Activate only 1 of these per turn, and you cannot draw by card effects the turn that you activate this effect, which is fine. But it doesn't mean that you have to play this first up. Again, Pot of Extravagance requires it to be the first play of your main phase. This could be any time during my turn as long as I haven't activated any draw effect. So that's fantastic. And again, if we send 3, we get to excavate 3. It's Pot of Duality. If I choose 6, I get to dig 6, which is better. So again, not that I would activate it 3 times in one match. 2 is probably the most I would activate it, but I would like to have the 3rd in order to see it more often and more consistently. Moving on to Royal Tribute, as long as you have Necro Valley face up and active, You activate this, and both players have to discard all monsters from their hands to the graveyard. And again, even when you're playing casually, you're going to be dealing with people who are going to be using hand traps. And if you get to go first in your opponent's very monster-based loop, you could almost stop your opponent there and take your time being able to put Exodia Necross together. And that might be the stronger play. We do have the Upstart Goblin. Again, draw a card. Opponent gains 1,000 life points. I'd rather this be another Pot of Prosperity. Terraforming, add the field spell from the deck to the hand. Strike. When a monsters would be special summoned or a monster effect activated, pay 1,500, negate the summons or the activation, and destroy the cards. So again, this is another thing that's really going to help us break a loop or get through the hand traps. Again, Cult by the Grave just won't cut it if you can't remove things from the discard pile, so no need to even look at it. So, extra deck. Let's talk about that Quintet Magician and why it's so good. I think that's 12 stars. I'm not going to count that. It is 5 spellcasters. Must be fusion summoned. If it is fusion summoned using 5 spellcasters with different names, and again, right leg, left leg, right arm, left arm, and Exodia the Forbidden One, 5 different names. So we could do that easily. Then you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. This is a field nuke if this actually goes off. I literally only put this in here as a consistency portion so that I could get the Exodia pieces to the discard pile fast and efficiently. And it's a tactical nuke for this game, so that's pretty cool. This face-up card on the field cannot be tributed nor used as fusion material, and it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So it still has a little bit of protection to it, even though it's sort of restricting. But again, it is 4,500 points, and once you blast the whole field, a Necross is probably played the turn before, or if not, that's still going to be like 6,300, not counting any additional monsters. If you were able to special summon Necross, get the Quintet Magician off, you probably had the Barricade Board blocker, and you'll probably have a 2k Gravekeeper up. So that Quintet Magician touching down should be the game stroke. And then again, the links are pretty self-explanatory. Apollos is in here if you need to chain block. Barricade Board blocker. If link summoned, you can discard a card during the end phase of the turn. Add a continuous or field spell from the graveyard to back to the hand. Chances are we're not going to use that. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. Face-up spells you control cannot be destroyed by opponent card effects. And this is going to continuously protect our future fusion as well as our field spell, which are either going to be for setting up the Necross or getting the Necross off or protecting it. So, Blackluster Soldier Chaos, just an overpowering card to be played. Same thing with Boral Ode and Boral Sword. IP Masquerena, just in case you have to get a little fancy, play during the opponent's turn, and play a little more tactically. That'll do. Again, you do have the Nightmares, Cerberus for the monsters that are special summoned, Phoenix to destroy back row, and Unicorn can seal a monster into your opponent's stack. Link Karibo, again, just real quick. Again, I think it's underrated that you're not always going to not have an Exodia piece in your hand. And knowing that you can go ahead and turn one into a Link Karibo real quick is fantastic. Same thing with Relinquished Anima. Again, if your opponent isn't watching where you're playing, they may choose to play across one of the extra zones. And of course, if you can sideboard in as many kaiju as you want, again, Gamma will do very well here. You may also choose to play Radion just in case you draw it. You could use it for the Allure of Darkness itself. And then you can go ahead and equip, Radion to the Relinquished Anima after offing one of their cards. And it's another great way to play out of things like Dragoon. And then, of course, I just threw in Almirage. First off, I love Almirage. I think it looks great. But it's the protection effect. And again, we can do this using any piece of Exodia. So any normal summon monster with 1,000 or less attack. Quick effect, tribute this card. Target a monster that I control. It cannot be destroyed by opponent card effects this turn. When a normal summon monster I control is destroyed by battle while this is in the graveyard, special summon it. It's just great. So, Underworld Goddess, again, I don't think I talk enough about this card. I'll probably make this card of the week, not this week, but next week. It's 4+ effect monsters. It's a Link 5. We played off IP Masquerena. That's 2 of the 4 that we'd need. And we're allowed to use 1 that our opponent has. Now, it's not as playable in this version of the deck. If we went pure Gravekeeper, yes. But the way that I played this today, not really. I just wanted to place this in here. You could obviously put Wee Witch in here. That might actually do a little more benefit. And again, if you're not facing a Dark v Dark matchup, you would get the Wee Witch bonus on top of the Valley bonus. And that would give your Gravekeepers like... yeah, I give him like an extra 1,000 instead of the 500. So yeah, that is the deck. Christopher, I hope that this did justice, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this. And before I go, I just want to let you guys know to have a great day, because that's really what we're about. You guys have a good one. I'm going to get to work. I'm going to do card of the week, and I got to get busy for next week. Somebody's actually asked if I could update the Mako Tsunami Speed Duel, and yeah, I'm going to. So I got to get that worked on too. So I will see you guys in the next video.